Many months ago, after life taught her that joy and pain often walked hand in hand, Chioma Okeke had made peace with being invisible when it came to love. At 32, she had buried enough disappointment to build a small city inside her heart. And even though she still smiled, her prayers for marriage had reduced because she wasn't sure God still heard her. She lived with her older sister in a 2-bedroom apartment in Lekki and ran a small catering business out of their kitchen. Her days were full of chopping vegetables, baking pastries, and delivering lunch packs to busy offices. But her nights were sometimes heavy, especially when she scrolled through wedding photos of her friends and cried, "Lord, when will it be my turn?" Then, one Saturday morning, her entire life changed. Her church had organized a charity outreach at a small orphanage in Ajah, and Chioma reluctantly agreed to volunteer because her friend insisted. She arrived wearing a simple yellow blouse and her natural hair tied into a puff. Inside the compound, children's laughter filled the air as volunteers unpacked boxes of food, clothes, and toys. Chioma knelt beside a small boy struggling with a broken toy car and fixed the wheels for him, singing for him as he watched her. That was when she heard a deep voice behind her. "You are good with kids," the voice said. She turned and her eyes met Ifeanyi Ani for the first time. He was tall and simply dressed in a white shirt. He smiled and, for some reason, her heart stumbled before she could respond. "I try," she said. "They don't talk back yet, so we get along." He smiled and bent beside her. "I am Ifeanyi, one of the project coordinators, and you are?" "Chioma," she said. "Wow, Chioma," he repeated slowly, as if he was tasting the name. Name, beautiful heart too, I can already tell." She rolled her eyes but smiled. "You are smooth for a church worker." He shook his head. "No, I just call things as I see them." That day, they spent hours walking side by side, handing out food packs, arranging toys, and laughing with the children. By evening, Ifeanyi found her sitting under an orange tree drinking bottled water. "You've been on your feet all day," he said as he sat with her. "And so have you," she replied, raising an eyebrow. "Yes, but I am a man," Ifeanyi teased. "We are built for stress." Chioma smiled and shook her head. "You men and your built for stress speeches. Meanwhile, when malaria comes, you cry louder than the babies in this orphanage." Ifeanyi laughed and then he became quiet for a moment. "I like how real you are. You don't pretend. It's refreshing." Chioma blushed and quickly looked away. "You barely know me." "Then let me fix that," Ifeanyi replied. "Tell me about you. What do you love? What makes you laugh? What breaks your heart?" Something about his voice, which was calm, steady, and intentional, made her want to answer, even though they were still strangers. So she told him about her catering business, her late father, and her mother. When she finished, he was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "I can see God's fingerprints on your life, Chioma. It's beautiful." That evening, after the outreach, as volunteers packed up and said their goodbyes, Ifeanyi walked her to the bus stop. "Can I call you sometime?" he asked. Chioma hesitated for half a second as her mind ran through old heartbreaks, old prayers, and old wounds. But then she said, "You can try." He grinned. Challenge accepted. 2 weeks later, Ifeanyi got her contacts and he started calling, sending Bible verses in the mornings, funny memes in the afternoons, and prayers at night. He invited her to midweek services, walked her home afterward, and listened more than he spoke. Before Chioma even realized it, her heart was learning his rhythms and softening towards him. One Sunday afternoon after service, they sat in a corner of the church garden. Ifeanyi leaned forward. "Chioma, I don't want to waste your time. I have prayed about this. I want to build something real with you, something God can be proud of." Her throat tightened. "You move really fast." Ifeanyi shook his head. "No, I move with ease." For the first time in years, Chioma began to hope that maybe, just maybe, the storm she had feared for so long had finally passed, and God was leading her into something beautiful. 2 months after the charity outreach where they met, Chioma and Ifeanyi Ani had become inseparable. Chioma's heart was finally experiencing peace again until Ifeanyi said 6 words that made her heart stumble. "I want you to meet Mama." She smiled nervously. You mean the Mama Ife, the one everyone in church talks about?" He smiled and held her hand. "Don't listen to gossip. She will love you once she sees your heart." Chioma wasn't so sure, but she trusted him, and that trust led her to the large white gates of the Ani family estate in Ikoyi the following Sunday afternoon. The compound was elegant, and Chioma stood for a moment, holding her small handbag, trying to calm the storm rising in her chest. Ifeanyi squeezed her hand. "Relax, it's just family." "Family," Chioma repeated under her breath, as if she was practicing how to say it. When they stepped inside the living room, Chioma's breath went on vacation. Everything was polished, from the cream leather sofas to the silver-framed family portraits hanging on the walls. And there, seated at the center of the room with authority, was Mama Ife. She was elegant, dressed in a peach wrapper and gold earrings. Her gaze was sharp and deep. "Mama, this is Chioma," Ifeanyi said. Mama Ife smiled tightly, the kind of smile that carried more calculation than sweetness. So this is the young woman I have been hearing about." Chioma stepped forward and bowed. "Good afternoon, Ma. It's an honor to meet you." Mama Ife's eyes scanned her from head to toe and stopped on her simple blue gown and old shoes. Then she smiled wider. "You are different from the other ladies my son has brought home." Chioma smiled, unsure whether to take it as a compliment. "I suppose I am, Ma." Mama Ife leaned back and crossed her legs elegantly. "Tell me, Chioma, what do you do?" "I run a catering business in Lekki," Chioma replied. "I bake, cook, and manage small events. It's still small, but I love what I do." Mama Ife's brows arched. Catering, interesting, very hands-on." Ifeanyi, on sensing the undertone, jumped in quickly. "Mama, Chioma's business is doing really well. You should taste her coconut cakes." Mama Ife's smile widened, but her face stayed cool. "I will, but Ifeanyi, you know how demanding our family name is. The Anis have certain standards. I just hope she can adjust." Chioma lowered her gaze and swallowed the words. Later, when Mama Ife stepped into the kitchen to speak with a house staff, Chioma turned to Ifeanyi and whispered, "She doesn't like me." Ifeanyi shook his head. "That's not true. My mom is just being protective. Give her time." Chioma hesitated and nodded. Unfortunately, 2 weeks later, Chioma noticed little changes in Ifeanyi. Unlike before, he now cancelled dates and got distracted too much. One evening, they sat in her kitchen as she baked bread, and she couldn't help but ask, "Ifeanyi, is something wrong? You've been distant lately." He hesitated and shrugged. "It's my mom. She doesn't understand us yet. She thinks we'll come from different worlds." Chioma's throat tightened, but she forced a smile. "And you, what do you think?" He looked at her. "I think God brought you to me, and I won't let anyone change that." His words consoled her heart, and she thought that maybe they could work towards convincing Mama Ife. But what she didn't know was that it wasn't only Mama Ife they were up against. A new and stronger force had joined in. Nathan, Ifeanyi's childhood friend and business partner, was watching them quietly. Nathan was charming, wealthy, and always in the room when their family discussions happened. He had been very close to Ifeanyi since they were teenagers, but over time, envy had grown in his heart. The next time he visited Mama Ife, he sat across from her in the living room and said, "Mama, I know you want the best for Ifeanyi. I am not saying Chioma isn't a good woman, but are you sure she's ready for this life?" Mama Ife leaned back and frowned. "Go on." Nathan shrugged. "I have heard things. small things about the struggles in her business and the people she's surrounded by. If you are not careful, she could pull him down. Mama Ife's lips tightened as she processed his words. That evening, she called Ifeanyi for a talk. Ifeanyi, you need to think carefully. A marriage built on love is sweet, but a marriage built on balance lasts. You never know when someone is using you to climb. Pray, my son, don't rush into this. Be very careful. Ifeanyi didn't say anything, but he kept her words in his mind. Meanwhile, Chioma could feel that there was an unseen battle surrounding her relationship, and every night she would kneel to pray. Lord, you gave me this love. Please don't let me lose it. But sometimes the storm must hit anyway. It was a Wednesday evening and the sky was heavy with dark clouds, a sign that rain was about to fall. Inside her kitchen, Chioma was making a pot of egusi soup when her phone vibrated on the counter. At first, she ignored it, but then curiosity led her to wipe her hands and pick it up. The message was from an unknown number, and she froze as her eyes scanned the screen. You deserve to know the truth. Attached was a single image of Ifeanyi sitting with a beautiful woman at a candle-lit restaurant in Abuja. For a moment, Chioma just stared at it, refusing to believe what her eyes saw. No, this isn't real. It can't be. She called Ifeanyi immediately, and as soon as he picked, she forced the words out. Where are you? I'm in Abuja, he said casually. We had a meeting with a new investor. Why? Chioma hesitated, then asked, who is she, Ifeanyi? There was a pause on the line, then Ifeanyi asked, who is who? The woman you were having dinner with. Someone just sent me a picture of you two. Ifeanyi paused for longer this time, and finally, he sighed heavily. Chioma, please, don't start this. She's a client. We are only negotiating a contract. That is all. Then, why didn't you tell me? Why am I finding out from a stranger? I didn't think it mattered, he said impatiently. Not everything requires a full report. Chioma's heart clenched at his words, but she swallowed back the tears. It matters to me, Ifeanyi. Ifeanyi sighed. Chioma, you need to trust me. And before she could reply, the line went dead. That night, Chioma couldn't sleep. She didn't want to doubt him, but the image wouldn't leave her head. 2 days later, Nathan made his move. He called Chioma, pretending to be concerned. Chioma, can we talk? She hesitated but agreed to meet him at a small cafe. Nathan arrived looking sympathetic. Chioma, I shouldn't even be telling you this, but you need to be careful with Ifeanyi. Abuja isn't just about business. The woman in that picture, her name is Ada. She's his ex. And she's connected, wealthy, and close to his family. Chioma stared at him stunned. Are you saying he's cheating on me with his ex? Nathan sighed heavily. I am saying, be careful where you put your heart. There are things happening around you that you don't see. Chioma's eyes burned, but she managed to nod thank you before standing up to leave. As for Ifeanyi, his mother continued to plant ideas into his mind, and slowly those ideas started taking root. One night, he called Chioma and said sharply, we need to talk. Chioma froze as she sensed the storm in his tone. About what? About us. What about us? Chioma asked. Ifeanyi hesitated, and then finally he said, I need time to think. The line went dead before she could even reply. When he hung up, Chioma sat staring at the dim light bulb quietly. Her phone slipped from her hand and landed on the rug. She wiped the tears on her cheek and sniffed. Lord, please, don't take this from me. If this is a storm, hold me still inside it. Please, don't let me drown. Her phone vibrated beside her, pulling her out of the prayer. She reached for it slowly, and the moment she saw the message, the world tilted beneath her feet. You need to wake up. Ifeanyi has moved on. Attached to it was a short voice note of a woman laughing and saying, don't worry, baby, our secret is safe. Her heart pounded violently, and with trembling fingers, she dialed Ifeanyi's number immediately. Ifeanyi, please tell me this is not true. What is not true, he asked. That there is someone else, Chioma voiced, trying so hard to stay composed. Your ex. Please, Ifeanyi, tell me it's not true. Ifeanyi shrugged over the phone. It's not what you think, Chioma. I have been talking to Ada, yes, but it's purely business, that is all. Business? Chioma laughed bitterly. Business that comes with pet names and secrets? Chioma, stop, Ifeanyi snapped. I don't owe you any explanation for every meeting I have. Chioma's chest tightened and she fled over the phone. You owe me honesty, Ifeanyi. You owe me respect. And then, just when Chioma thought things couldn't get complicated, she got a call. One Thursday afternoon, an unknown number flashed on her screen, and when she picked up, the voice sounded urgent. Hello, this is Ada, Ifeanyi's ex. Please meet me, it's very important. Against her better judgment, Chioma agreed. They met at a restaurant in Ikeja. Ada sat at the corner table with sunglasses shielding her eyes, holding a medical envelope in front of her like a weapon. Without much talk, she pushed the envelope forward. I am pregnant, Chioma. Chioma froze. What? What are you talking about? Ada leaned forward and said, 2 months gone, Ifeanyi is the father. The words detonated like an explosion inside Chioma's chest. Her heart pounded violently, but she refused to touch the file. You are lying. You are just trying to destroy us. Ada laughed dryly. You think I would make this up? Look at the reports. Inside, there were blood test results, scans, and a neatly stamped letter from a reputable hospital. Every detail matched perfectly and every date lined up. However, what Chioma didn't know was that this wasn't Ada's idea, it was Nathan's. Months earlier, Nathan had discovered Ada's financial struggles and offered her an irresistible deal. Help me end their relationship and you will never worry about money again. Nathan had orchestrated everything, the fake medical reports, the hospital proof, and even the messages to make everything convincing. And what was his reason? Revenge. He loved Chioma and, in his twisted mind, she chose wrong. He believed Ifeanyi had stolen her from him before he even got the chance to approach her. Now, he couldn't stand seeing them together, happy and thriving. But Nathan didn't plan to reveal his hand yet. For now, Ada was his perfect pawn. The cafe meeting with Ada left Chioma shaking all over. Her hands still trembled as she boarded a taxi and rushed over to Ifeanyi's apartment with the envelope of the supposed hospital reports sitting unopened on the seat next to her. Her head was spinning and her thoughts were bouncing so fast that she barely noticed the driver talking to her. Ada's words wouldn't stop echoing in her head. I am pregnant, Chioma. 2 months. Ifeanyi is the father. By the time the taxi pulled up outside his apartment, Chioma's face was already red. She sat in the car for a full minute, staring blankly at the envelope before wiping away her tears. When she finally walked up to the door and knocked, her heartbeat thumped louder than the knock on the door. Ifeanyi opened the door looking tired. He let her in. Chi, you didn't say you were coming. I did not plan to come, she replied, and folded her arms across her chest as she stepped inside. The silence between them was visible. Finally, she dropped the envelope on his center table and said, Ada says she's pregnant. She says it's yours. Ifeanyi blinked. What? She gave me this, Chioma said, pointing at the reports. Do you want to tell me what's going on, Ifeanyi, or should I start believing her? For a long moment, Ifeanyi just stood there in shock. Then he ran his palm over his face and sighed deeply. Chioma, I don't even know what to tell you right now. Chioma's eyes burned as she stepped closer. So, you are not denying it? Ifeanyi's shoulders fell as he sank into the couch. The night we had the business meeting, I didn't know how come I drank too much. Ada had brought some documents for me to sign, and I don't remember anything after that. I only found myself in my hotel room later on. Chioma's heart dropped. You don't remember? Ifeanyi, do you understand what this means? Ifeanyi bent down looking ashamed. Chi, I haven't touched her since we started dating. I swear on my life. But that night, I honestly don't know if something happened or not. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Chioma asked, why didn't you tell me this before? Why did I have to hear it from her? Ifeanyi looked up at her. Because I didn't want to lose you. Chioma let out a bitter laugh and shook her head. And now, do you think this hasn't already broken us? Before Ifeanyi could respond, his phone rang on the table. He looked at it and frowned. Chioma's eyes followed his gaze. It was Mama Ife calling. I won't answer, he said and turned the phone face down. But Chioma already knew why his mother was calling. Ifeanyi's mother had never really accepted her, no matter what she did. To Mama Ife, Chioma would never be good enough, not when Ada was now in the picture. Chioma's voice trembled as she asked, she believes Ada, doesn't she? Ifeanyi hesitated and then sighed deeply. She says the dates match. She says we should talk and do the right thing if the baby is mine. Chioma held her burning chest. So, that is it. She wins. Ifeanyi stood and reached for her hand, but she stepped back sharply. Her tears finally spilled down her cheeks. I fought for us, Ifeanyi. I defended you when everyone said it would never work. I stayed despite your mother's disapproval. Everything. And now this? Ifeanyi looked at her remorsefully. Chi, please, don't give up on us. Not yet. Let me prove the truth. We'll do a DNA test if we have to. But her heart was too heavy to hear it. She grabbed her bag, wiped her tears, and walked towards the door without another word. For days, Chioma locked herself indoors, ignoring calls, ignoring work, and ignoring life. The walls were closing in on her and Nathan was thriving. In his penthouse, Nathan sipped a glass of red wine while scrolling through his phone, smiling as he read the newest headlines. Baby mama drama. Ada finally speaks out. Ifeanyi abandoned me and my child. Underneath the post, thousands of comments dragged Ifeanyi's name through the mud. Nathan smiled wickedly and muttered to himself, Step 1, done and dusted. Step 2, destroy his business. Within 48 hours, Nathan leaked doctored financial documents to the media, making it look like Ifeanyi secretly transferred millions to cover Ada's pregnancy expenses. The investors panicked and, one by one, deals crumbled. Ifeanyi's real estate company started bleeding fast. Chioma watched all of this from the background and, by the end of the week, she decided she wasn't going to sit back and watch her life, her dignity and her love fall apart without a fight. So, she called Ifeanyi. We need to talk now. They met at a restaurant later that evening. Chioma sat with her arms folded. Ifeanyi, I am tired of crying. I am tired of doubting. If you want me to stay, then we have to fight this together. But if you keep hiding things from me, I am gone. Ifeanyi leaned forward. Chi, I swear to you, I don't believe Ada's baby is mine. As a matter of fact, I just discovered someone is pulling strings behind this. Because this feels deliberate. Chioma's brows furrowed. Who would want to destroy you this badly? He hesitated for a moment and then said, Nathan. Chioma's heart skipped. Nathan, the man who had been feeding her with malicious information about Ifeanyi all this while. What could be his reason? That same night in her apartment, Ada sat on her bed holding her phone as it vibrated endlessly with interview requests, online abuse and questions she couldn't answer. Her chest tightened with guilt until she couldn't breathe. She grabbed her phone and called Nathan. I can't keep doing this. People are threatening me. Ifeanyi's lawyers keep calling. I want out. But Nathan's voice was cold. You are not going anywhere, Ada. Do you want me to remind you what happens if you talk? Do you want me to leak those photos? Tears rolled down Ada's cheeks as she dropped the phone. She felt trapped and helpless, but deep down, she knew this had to end. Days later, the long-awaited DNA test was fixed and Ifeanyi stood outside the diagnostic center waiting for his fate. But unfortunately, Ada did not show up. He waited and waited, but she never came. That afternoon, she sent a message to Ifeanyi asking to meet privately at his office under the guise of talking privately. When she arrived, she was shocked to see Chioma and Mama Ife there too. Before anyone spoke, Ifeanyi turned to her and demanded, "Why did you keep me waiting at the hospital?" Ada burst into tears immediately, covering her face with her hands. Ifeanyi shouted, "Speak up, Ada, spill all of it." Still crying uncontrollably, Ada finally broke. "It wasn't real. The pregnancy was fake. You did not touch me. Nathan paid me. He promised me money and protection. He forged the reports. He edited the charts. He leaked everything." The room fell silent. Mama Ife turned sharply to her son. "Nathan, as in Nathan Adeyemi, your friend?" Chioma closed her eyes and exhaled slowly in relief. Ifeanyi's lawyers wasted no time. They went to work, and within a week, Nathan was exposed publicly. Screenshots of his financial transactions with Ada, voice recordings of his threats, and fake hospital records were all leaked to the press. In one night, Nathan's entire empire crumbled. His investors pulled out, his reputation collapsed, and his arrest was imminent. The same blogs that once dragged Ifeanyi now turned their fire on Nathan. Breaking news: Nathan Adeyemi exposed as mastermind behind fake pregnancy scandal. For days, Mama Ife couldn't look Chioma in the eye. She sat alone in her living room, trembling in shame. When she finally gathered the courage, she visited Chioma's house. When Chioma let her in, she stood, swallowed her pride, and apologized. "Chioma, my daughter, please forgive me." Chioma looked up slowly. Mama Ife continued, "I judged you unfairly. I believed lies instead of seeing your heart. But you fought for my son when I doubted you. You stood by him when I didn't. I am so sorry." For a long moment, Chioma said nothing. Then finally, she stood, walked over and hugged her tightly. "Mama, I forgive you." Months later, the chaos ended. Nathan faced criminal charges. Ada left Lagos for a fresh start. Ifeanyi's business recovered slowly, and finally, Mama Ife openly embraced Chioma as part of the family. She even started making plans for their wedding, promising to handle every expense as compensation for all the damages she caused them. Thank you for watching the story. Kindly share your thoughts about the story with me in the comment section. Give the story a thumbs up and share the story out with your loved ones. Subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way. Bye!